video that you just saw was quite a bit longer. The entirety of it is going to be posted on stop-and-frisk.net, along with other videos that may have come in, which we would not have time to show tonight, and the ones that we did. So you can go to stop-and-frisk.net to see the entirety of it. So, how y'all feel?
All right.
I have the great honor, responsibility, and pleasure to introduce y'all to the speakers tonight. I first heard of Cornell and Carl working together when, in the euphoria of the age of Obama, they insisted that the conversation needed to be about the fact that there is no future for our youth. There is police murder and mass incarceration, unemployment, and terrorization of people in these neighborhoods. And they have gone on from there. They founded the Stop Mass Incarceration Network together. They called on people to put bodies on the line to take down Stop and Frisk here in New York City. And they're the reason we're here tonight. Cornel West, in case you haven't heard of him, is a voracious, provocative intellectual who situates his academic and intellectual work in the gutter. That is, he places himself firmly on the side of the least of us, the wretched and the earth. He also does some music, and he's been in The Matrix. Teaches a unique theological seminar. I've had the pleasure, with both of these guys, actually, I've had the pleasure of sharing lockups and classrooms, stages, and street corners. Now, Carl DIX. Carl DIX is a revolutionary hero. He is a role model. He'll tell you, he was going about his life trying to do himself until he got thrown into political life when he got draft orders. And when he was ordered to go to Vietnam, he said, there's no way I'm traveling around the world to kill a bunch of poor people over there, while black people here are being hounded, brutalized by pigs and dogs and hunting trees all across this country. And that heroic stand was awarded with a stint for 2 years in Fort Leavenworth Military Penitentiary, which he turned into a classroom for revolution. He came out of those jail cells and went on to become a founding member of the Revolutionary Communist Party, the October 22nd Coalition, the Stop Mass Incarceration Network, and it's important to just mention right now, for people who don't know, Mumia Abu-Jamal is in a his health is very serious situation, and he's not receiving the treatment that he deserves and that he needs, and his life is in jeopardy. When the Move House in Philadelphia, which Mumia was associated with, was bombed in Philadelphia, and no one would speak and stand with the people being bombed because there was a black mayor, black power structure. Carl issued a draw the line statement that insisted that people must stand with the people under attack in the Move House and must beat back this attack. Without further ado, first up we're going to have Carl DIX.
you are where you need to be. Remember where you need to be on April 14th. In the streets, shutting it down, and bring a lot of other people with you. Now look, we're 1 week out from April 14th. A week out from a day when we must disrupt business as usual in this country, because that business as usual includes police getting away with murdering Black and Latino people. We have to manifest powerful resistance all across the country, bringing the normal routine of this society to a halt. This resistance has to make clear that there's a force of people in this society who are determined to act to stop the systemic problem of the authorities giving a green light to police who brutalize and murder people. Now, I didn't come here tonight to tell you that it would be easy to do that. And if I did tell you that, I'd be lying. What I did come here to do, though, was to lay out how deep this problem runs in this society and just what we're up against in acting to stop it. I came to tell you why we have to act on April 14th and how that can be part of bringing a whole new world into being. I'm also going to get into how we can do that, and I came to recruit you to do something that really matters. And what that comes down to is doing something that will contribute to stopping police murder. Not slowing it down, not lessening it, but stopping it, because that's what's needed. Now, you all saw some of the parents up here just now. I want to take us a little bit more into the reality that calls on us to stop. Let's talk about Brother Jason Harrison from Dallas, a young Black man was living with his mother. Brother was mentally challenged. He was having a mental episode. His mother calls 911 to get some help. What she got was several cops came to the door. She went to answer the door, and her son, Jason, comes behind her. And he had a screwdriver in his hand. A screwdriver. When the cops saw the screwdriver, and these cops had their bulletproof vests on and all of that, they pull their guns out. They point them at Jason, and then they start yelling at him. Put down the screwdriver. Put down the screwdriver. Put down the screwdriver. Now, Jason doesn't do anything. He just stands there holding the screwdriver. And then they open fire. Shoot him down right in his mother's front door. Jason falls over with his arms under him. You can hear the mother in the background. You killed my son. You killed my son. And these cops point their guns at Jason's prone body and continue to yell at him. Drop the screwdriver. Drop the screwdriver. Let's also talk about Philip White, 22-year-old Black man, Vineland, New Jersey. About a week or so ago, cops came to his door and arrested him. We still don't know what they arrested him for, but they arrested him. Put him into handcuffs and took him out of his apartment. And then, after they got him out, they threw him on the ground. And then they began to savagely brutalize him. They beat Philip. They kicked Philip. They stomped Philip. Then one of the pigs went to the car, the police car, and got a police dog and sicked the dog on Philip. The dog bit Philip in the face and along his body. 10 hours later, Philip White was dead. Now, these are just two of the many, many people killed by police in this country. In just the first 85 days of this year, 78 unarmed people were killed by the police. And that's just the unarmed people. We look at the month of March, Police in this country killed 115 people, and that's just in March alone. This poster makes real and concrete how widespread this problem is. And we need to make use of this poster everywhere we can in the days leading up to April 14, to enlist people in joining in with us in disrupting business as usual. And we need to use it on April 14th to make people confront the reality that we're dealing with and to challenge them that they got to get out there and join us in doing something about it. And to give people who are in the streets a sense that we are right when we go out to stop business as usual. Now look, it's bad enough that the police kill the people that they're supposed to protect and serve. On top of that, the whole system goes into motion to get the killer cops off when they do kill people. Their fellow cops maintain a blue wall of silence, or they tell lies to try to cover up these murderous deeds that these cops have done. The district attorneys quickly pronounce these killings as justifiable homicide, or they convene a grand jury and lead it to conclude that these killer cops committed no crimes. Now, in the very few cases, and it's really very few, where a cop gets charged for killing people, the charges never match up to what they actually did. And in these cases where they get charged, the DAs just forget how to prosecute, and the killer cops get off. But see, let's not leave out the media either, because they get in on this. They take the police story and put it out there like it's the absolute truth, including when the cops kill somebody, if they can find even a hint of a criminal record, then that gets put out in the media. Even when the person was doing absolutely nothing wrong when the cops killed them, they still want to get that hint out there that, oh, this must have been a criminal. See, that's bad, that's horrible, but it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop with the killings and the killer cops getting off. The cops and the whole criminal injustice system in this country mistreats and abuses the loved ones of those they kill. Look, and I don't have time to get into all of the details because I could tell you a whole lot about this, but let me just touch on a few things. When the cops killed Ramarley Graham up in the Bronx in his mother's house, in front of his grandmother and his younger brother, after they killed him, they took his grandmother into custody, took her down to the police station, and interrogated his sister for hours. Her lawyer came down, demanded to see his client. They refused to let him go in until they were finished interrogating her and finally realized they wasn't going to get nothing out of her to try to justify what they had done. It was hard. In Detroit a few years ago, police murdered 7-year-old Ayanna Stanley Jones. They threw a grenade into the house. They broke into the wrong house to start with, threw a grenade in, and then a cop fired a bullet, shot her through the head. After they killed this little girl, they arrested her grandmother and tried to blame her for the little girl's death. Juanita knows this because she went up there with me to Detroit right after this happened, because we had to be up there with those people. And look, I know a lot of y'all saw the video of the cops in Cleveland who murdered 12-year-old Tamir Rice. Well, there was a longer video. And in that longer video, after they murdered him, you see a young woman rush out. That's Tamir's sister, running to try to comfort her brother. The cops tackle her to the ground, take her into custody and put her in the back of the police car, leaving Tamir there bleeding out, dying on the ground. And then later, Tamir's mother comes, wanting to comfort her son, afraid that he was dying. They threatened to arrest his mother, made her get out of there, and would not let her go to see her dying son. Think about the inhumanity of a system whose enforcers do things like this again and again and again. And look, the way the police get away with murdering Black and Latino people, that's bad in its own right. But it's also a concentration of an overall program of suppression that has a genocidal thrust. It's the way this system holds down Black and Latino people today. And it's a continuation of the savage oppression that this system has enforced on Black people since the very first Africans were dragged to these shores in slave chains. This is the ugly truth of what goes down in this country. Now, usually people just suffer the murder and the brutality that police inflict. Too many people accept the lies that the people who were killed by the police deserve what they got. Other people get the message that there's nothing that we can do about it, that the system is too powerful, so we might as well just shut up and accept it. But when Darren Wilson murdered Michael Brown in Ferguson, society was forced to confront the truth. And they were forced to confront the truth because people in Ferguson stood up, took to the streets, and stayed in the streets. I mean, the authorities threw everything that they could at those defiant young people. Tear gas, rubber bullets, sound cannons. They put a curfew down. They mobilized the National Guard. But still those people stayed in the streets. The power of their resistance reached out to me and compelled me to go down to Ferguson to be with them a few days after Michael Brown was murdered. Actually, Juanita went down there with me too then. It seemed like we run around together a little bit. See, now these days, you hear these talking heads in the media saying, well, you know, the protests in Ferguson, they were marred by violence. Well, look, I was down there, and I'll tell you what I saw. I saw defiant young people who refused to suffer this brutality and murder any longer in silence. I saw young Black men in street organizations who a week before had been fighting and killing each other, who got out of that and were standing together to demand justice for Michael Brown and to fight against police brutality and police murder. And I met people who welcomed me and other people who came down to Ferguson to be on the front lines of this fight with them. Because the power of what people did in Ferguson reached out to the whole country and inspired others to act. And then this got taken to an even higher level when the grand juries refused to indict the cops who murdered Eric Garner and Michael Brown. People poured into the streets all across the country, blocking highways, blocking bridges, blocking tunnels. Several thousand folks up in Minnesota went into the Mall of the Americas. It's supposed to be the biggest mall in the country. Well, that day, it was the most shut down mall in the country. Folks were like, this is all that's happening here. Black Lives Matter is what's happening here. All of that happened and more. And look, that's just some ideas on what might need to happen on the 14th. See, look, it was inspiring to see these people from different backgrounds standing together in this. To see Black people, white people, Latinos, Asians, out in the streets together saying Black Lives Matter. This showed people who've been messed over by this system forever that if they stood up, others could be won to join them in resistance. It gave people a beginning sense that the system didn't have it as together as they want us to think. that maybe we could do something about the attacks that they bring down on us. That maybe we didn't have to live this way. And look, right in the middle of all this was the historic dialogue that Bob Avakian, the leader of the Revolutionary Communist Party, and my dear brother Cornell engaged in. The theme of this dialogue was revolution and religion, the fight for emancipation and the role of religion. And it gave people a deeper sense of how a different way for people to live could be brought into being. And look, people can check this dialogue out, right? Well, don't do it right now. After the thing is over, you can go up on the website, revcom.us, because we put that dialogue and a film of it up online. Now, all of this, the powerful resistance and the swirl of revolutionary ideas, it was like a door got cracked open, and people could see a glimmer of hope that things could be different. Well, the system came back at this. They came back with arrests. They came back with heavy charges. And they came back with lie on top of lie. I want to take one lie, one big lie that they told. And that's the lie that Michael Brown caused his own death. That it was his fault that he got murdered. See, now this is a lie that Darren Wilson, the murdering pig who killed Michael Brown, he's the one who told us lie. But the whole system has embraced it and is pushing it in our faces. You damn right it is. I mean, look, they tell us that Michael Brown didn't have his hands up. They tell us that he attacked Wilson and that Wilson had no choice but to kill him in self-defense. Now, when they tell us this, they're trying to give us a bigger message. And that message is that this whole movement of resistance to police getting away with murder is based on a lie. Well, that's not true, sisters and brothers. Mike Brown was just walking down the street when Wilson accosted him. Wilson pulled his gun out. Mike Brown ran to get away. Then he turned around and yes, he put his hands up. And Wilson gunned him down. Now some people will say, now wait a minute, Carl, you wasn't there. How do you know he had his hands up? I know he had his hands up because I saw right after they killed him, there was a whole bunch of people there who saw it. And they said, the brother had his hands up when he got shot. There was even two white guys who just happened to be working in the neighborhood. And there's a video of them watching it, and then they go, oh, he had his hands up when the cop shot him. All of those folks said that. Now the district attorney, he said it don't happen that way. He said the witnesses who said Michael Brown had his hands up were not credible. But see, this is a district attorney who put on an eyewitness to back up Darren Wilson's story who wasn't even there. That was the witness. He felt that was credible evidence from somebody who wasn't even there. But all of those folk who were there, they weren't credible because they weren't saying what he wanted them to say. See, now, Eric Holder and the Department of Justice embraced this whole lie and tried to shove it down our throats. Now, see, this is important because Holder came down to Ferguson actually shortly after I did, like he was going to be some kind of savior. He had people thinking that, look, if the locals don't give you justice, come see me, you can count on me. See, now, this is a part of another lie they want us to believe. They want us to swallow. That we can rely on the people in power. That some of them are our friends. This is a big part of how they keep us under control. The truth is the whole damn system is committed to unleashing the police. When they swagger through our neighborhoods like an occupying army, the whole system is behind them. And the whole system backs them up when they brutalize and kill people. The system pushes these lies to confuse us about who's right and who's wrong. What they're trying to do is they're trying to slam shut that door that got cracked open. They're trying to double lock it. They want to close it so tight that we could never rise up again. And we cannot let that happen, sisters and brothers. On April 14th, we got to revive the spirit of Ferguson, that spirit of refusing to suffer the brutality and murder of the system in silence. We got to revive it and we got to take it higher. We have to get back out in the streets and we got to declare that we're not backing down and that we are not going away. We have to say that we're determined to fight this on April 14th, and then coming after April 14th, we got to continue building wave upon wave of resistance, even more powerfully, until we can stop murder by the police. We need to push the truth back out there, and we got to put ourselves on the line as we do it. We can use these posters in doing that, taking them into the streets, out on the campus if we're in school, into your neighborhoods. We need to use them to polarize the situation, forcing people to look squarely at the reality and challenging them